Now we will talk about the final sample size estimate for an indicator. Once we have our initial sample size estimate, or n initial, we might make some adjustments to it that will reflect our final sample size estimate for a given indicator, or n final. These may include the following: design effect adjustments, non-response adjustments, and/or finite population correction. Let's go over what those terms mean. The design effect adjustment, or ADGE-DEFF, is particularly important for two-stage cluster design because it helps account for differences we might see between clusters. By two-stage cluster, we mean the selection is done at 2 points. For example, you might randomly select villages and then randomly select individuals within the village. In this case, we use a design effect of 2. For a simple random sample, the design effect is 1. Next is non-response rate adjustment, or ADGE-NR. When conducting surveys, it's expected that some people who are selected to participate in the survey will not be available or willing to complete the survey. This is called non-response. A 5 to 10% non-response rate is a typical place to start, but some communities might have much higher rates. If you know your community well, you can anticipate the non-response rate more accurately and adjust accordingly. We calculate the adjustment for non-response by dividing 1 by the response rate. For example, if the response rate is assumed to be 95%, which represents a 5% non-response rate, we calculate the adjustment by dividing 1 by 0.95, which gives us an adjustment value of 1.052. When programs calculate sample size, and they find that the sample size is too high for what's logistically or financially feasible for their program, there can be a temptation to decrease the estimated non-response rate so that the sample size will be lower. This strategy is risky since we don't know our actual non-response rate until after the survey is completed, and it's possible that survey data will be unable to detect the necessary level of precision or accuracy if the actual non-response rate is significantly higher than estimated. For these reasons, it's important to base estimated non-response rates on the actual non-response rates of the surveys completed in the same or similar contexts. The finite population correction, or ADGE-FPC, is the most complicated of these adjustments and is often not needed. The purpose of the finite population correction is to reduce the final sample size if the initial sample size estimate is greater than 5% of the total number of participants in our sampling frame. The formula for calculating finite population correction, or FPC, is as follows, where capital N is population size and lowercase n is the initial sample size. If the calculated FPC is close to 1, it can be ignored. Now that we've defined each of these variables, here is the complete formula for calculating the final sample size, or n final. N final equals the initial sample size, n initial, times the design effect adjustment, ADGE-DEFF, times the non-response rate adjustment, ADGE-NR, times the finite population correction, ADGE-FPC, where each of these is applicable. And here are the definitions of the various variables that were used in that formula. As previously mentioned, there will be a quick reference sheet that you can download that has all of these formulas and the definitions of the variables,